But that's not the ultimate answer.
All right, well, we don't even know the question is. Oh, hey, look, we're actually recording. No music.
Only 2 people know the answer.
I blame you. All right, anyway, we're not here to discuss the answer. You know what we're here to discuss? One of our fondest memories from the 80s, 90s, and recently, the Indiana Jones series.
I'm not sure about recently,
Not-
but
not-
go
Yeah,
ahead.
5 years
Not
ago.
the Young Indiana Jones TV show, but the series of movies that were out.
I have to watch that one day. And by the
So
way,
do I.
for those of you who may not know, even though you should know, shame on you for not, it's your good friend Pozzible here, along with
Joe?
and
Bucky.
we're here to remember the G.I. Joe series. I mean, the G.I. Joe. That was last week! Boy, we are so 80s here. No, it's Indiana Jones time. We're going to start with, you know what? My personal favorite.
Remember, Goonies
Okay.
never say... Never mind.
Yeah. This one's my personal favorite. Number 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I got the wrong poster.
You got the newer poster, the
Yes.
remake one.
They
How
call
can you
it...
tell?
It says Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I don't know why I pointed at the screen. They can't see that.
But that's what you're pointing at for Bucky. But the
Oh.
point is, it used to be just Raiders of the Lost
Oh,
Ark.
I
Yes.
did not know that.
Now, believe it or not, this is not the favorite amongst everybody. I know Bucky didn't care for it.
Actually, no, I didn't. I just don't know why. For some reason, I kept on waiting for something to get going in the movie. And
I thought it was action
Yeah,
packed.
this one was good. It
And-
was,
I guess when I initially saw it, I was expecting more.
I got you. That can happen.
but then
you know?
again, it is the first one, so if you're
Yeah.
not sure what to expect, I
Exactly.
really enjoyed this one. This was. I don't know if this one was my favorite. Probably, I would say this one was my favorite.
So, does anyone know about the history of what gave us Indiana Jones in the first place?
Harrison Ford said, "Yeah, I'll take the part."
Well, that's Harrison. Well, Harrison Ford said yes, but he wasn't the first
Because
Indiana
if they called
Jones.
it Arizona Simpson, I don't think anyone would watch it.
I would have watched it. Well, who knows? I wouldn't know what Arizona means. No. Remember, we'll get to that question in a second, Joe. You just gave me a great trivia question. It all started, when 2 buddies were on the beach together, okay? They were playing around. And who were the 2 buddies? Of course, they were Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
I knew that.
They wanted to make a movie together, and they wanted it to be based off the old serials from the 40s and 50s, the movies that they watched growing up, where the hero was in constant danger, and it would actually end with a cliffhanger. There were lots of cliffhangers in Raiders of the Lost Ark, in the whole series in general, because that's what it was all about,
Right.
And because it was made in that time period, they had the Nazis,
Right. It was done in the 30s, I believe. It was set in the 30s.
Right. Now,
No disrespect to any Nazis that are listening at this time.
Now, with that said, it brings us to the million-dollar question. Who was the first choice for Indiana Jones? It wasn't supposed to be Harrison Ford.
Chewbacca.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Not Peter Mayhew. Not Richard Dreyfuss. Though I will give you one hint, Bucky. He did have a mustache.
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. He was
Right.
supposed to be.
That was
And-
actually a joke.
And I think it was also supposed to be, who's that? Dances with Wolves. He's gonna
Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner. I think he was another choice.
I remember Tom Selleck.
Yeah, back in the day. But of course, eventually, something went wrong. They couldn't get these guys. They went with their old standby, Harrison Ford. And it's so funny. Harrison Ford, his career is almost based off of the start of his career was based off of getting roles that really weren't supposed to be his. The only reason he became Han Solo was because he was fixing George Lucas's cabinets.
Yeah.
He was a carpenter. Harrison Ford at that time had given up on acting. He went into carpentry. He taught himself how to be a carpenter. He was doing some stuff with George Lucas, and George Lucas wanted him to read with a few people, and he read with Mark Hamill, and the rest is history,
Yeah.
But still, to be honest, this was one of the best ones. Great story,
Yes.
great action, and there's a magic to the first one.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford is just great in everything. This is where you first meet Marion. This is the only other one that had Marion in it.
She
Yes.
was the one that everybody liked.
Right. Now, and you know what I will have to say, when you first meet his buddy, the museum curator, Marcus.
Oh, Marcus Brody, yes.
Marcus Brody. He really, you don't get the sense that he's the dunce in this one.
Yes.
You just get a sense that he's a caring guy, but he's still very intelligent. There's a very interesting thing I have to say about that coming up here soon, but Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, a classic, definitely one of the best. And that brings us to the second one, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is where they start putting in the words Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So this is the original one. I liked it.
This one I did not like. Outside the minecart scene, I didn't like that much.
I actually liked it. This was my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong. I will admit there is one really huge flaw in this movie, and I'm not going to say her name. But
I'll give you one hint, though. Steven Spielberg wound up marrying her after this movie.
But, I like the idea of having the kid along, just to show that, even as a kid, they're in danger still and everything.
Right.
But,
And this was mid-'80s. Back in these days, it was it was kind of like the sidekick thing. They kept Short Round around because they wanted to bring in more of a kid audience, make it more kid-friendly. Kid-friendly? No way. This one was violent.
Yes, I know.
And graphic.
It was brutal.
And let me tell you guys.
and I think back then it was PG, wasn't it?
PG. It wasn't R, that's for sure. I think...
Because I don't think PG-13 came around until 1989.
No. Gremlins was the first PG-13, and I forget what year Gremlins was.
That's like 86, I think.
Today, it has been redone. And you know what? Personally, I don't think it's fair.
I mean, if they were to re-rate Temple of Doom today, it would probably be R.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. They did re-rate it, and they did give it the PG-13.
PG-13, wow.
Yeah. Gremlins, I'm doing some research here.
86, 87?
84.
84.
And, of course, if you look up Temple of Doom, boy, aren't iPhones amazing? Let's see here. Temple of Doom.
Ask Siri.
Yeah.
She'll
find a restaurant with iPhone in the title.
Yeah. Oh, and Temple of Doom also 1984, so it's going to be hard to say.
I'm sorry, there are no restaurants with the word Doom nearby.
Exactly. But you know what? I want you guys to understand one other thing. This was a big turning point in Spielberg's career, this movie. Spielberg was, he made Jaws, he made Indiana Jones, made Poltergeist. But after Temple of Doom, this is when we start going from a very violent, very realistic, very graphic Spielberg to more of the kid-friendly, silly Spielberg. And that was also an 80s philosophy. The next discussion we're going to have, we're just going to have a big discussion on what movies were like in the 80s and dare to compare here. That said, it brings us to this one I did not like at first. It's grown on me. I've appreciated it. It's The Last Crusade.
This one and Raiders
Huge
of the Lost
favorite.
Ark, I love this one. Sean Connery as Henry Jones Sr.
Yes.
was just so cool, especially in the airplane scene.
Yeah. Bucky, your opinion of Last Crusade?
Probably my second favorite because Sean Connery, he stole every scene he was in.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, the fireplace scene too.
Oh, the fireplace scene is classic.
The chairs?
Yeah. That what?
Exactly. That is just like, to me, that's like the scene that everyone remembers from Last Crusade.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to Last Crusade, the one thing you gotta love about it, of course, Sean Connery, brilliant actor, stole every scene. He was the ultimate foil for Indiana Jones. And what better foil than your own son? Your father-son relationship. Right. Brilliantly written. However,
I guess that's it for the 3 movies then, right?
No, well, hold on. There's one more. But one more word about Last Crusade.
One more.
The one reason I didn't like it at first was because I was still used to the very graphic, very serious Indiana Jones, and this one was sillier.
That's why I like, except for the end. I thought the end was a little pushing the edge with the Knight and the Holy Grail. And all
that one I didn't mind as much. I mean, I got it because that was what this whole thing was about. It was about immortality, and it's great that for once we actually saw an immortal, somebody who was proof that this thing actually worked and everything. Okay, now one thing I understand about Indiana Jones, let's face it, the best ones were in my opinion, the best ones were the religious artifacts one. Even though I did like Temple of Doom, which was a religious artifact also. Right. Where they really went awry and astray was, of course, the one that at least we can all agree is the bottom. I don't think any of us liked the Crystal Skull.
There was only 3 Indiana Jones movies.
For argument's sake, we're going to assume this
Crystal
was
Skull. This one I liked, except for I wasn't a big fan of Shia LaBeouf's character. I didn't like the way he portrayed Mutt Williams. And I was the whole alien thing also. But as far as like bringing Harrison Ford back, bringing Marion Ravenwood back, I forgot her, Karen Allen. Yes, bringing them back. That plot of it, I kind of liked it. But one thing is, now we're not dealing with the Nazis because Harrison Ford's older,
right?
So they aged Indiana Jones. It's now not in World War II times; it's Cold War times.
Exactly.
In the 50s.
Bucky, I know. Do you want to share your big killing moment that really ruined this movie for you?
Everything between the opening credits and the ending credits?
Okay, it was pretty... I will have to admit, I got a kick out of how they started this whole thing, because in the first one, you see a mountain. They do the whole Paramount opening, and they show you a real mountain. Here, they show you the mountain again. This time, it's a molehill. And then what they're trying to say is, well, don't make a mountain out of a molehill type of thing. You're right. A lot of it ruined it. One thing was Shia LaBeouf's character, Mutt Williams.
I will give this movie one there's one scene that I'm always going to remember from this movie. It's the scene where the villainess, I can't remember her name right now.
It was Cate Blanchett.
Kate
Blanchett's character.
Yeah. Beautiful actress. She acted well, but it just didn't. She couldn't save this movie.
It seems like she's winning. She's getting everything she wanted, which is like ultimate knowledge. And I think Indiana Jones says, "Be careful what you wish for." Mm-hmm. And it's like she can't contain the knowledge because there's so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that part I liked. Everything else, to me, this is like the Ewok adventure of Star Wars.
Oh, now we're getting nasty here.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's how bad it is.
One thing I will also give a credit to when it comes to this movie, let's face it started really poorly with the whole escape in an atomic blast in a refrigerator. Also,
that wasn't the worst scene. Yeah. It was pretty bad.
But, I did like how they portrayed the time period. It's the future, not the future of us, but the future of him, which is, the McCarthy era.
Yeah, like I said, he's aged, and now we're in the McCarthy era versus the Adolf Hitler's time.
And you've got the communists now, and you know what? It's funny because communists were really offended by this. We have Communist Party still around, and
everyone's going to be offended by something,
right? But they were like, how could you make a movie like this? Because people are going to think that we were driving around. It's like, come on, guys, it was still the Cold War. Let them have it. It was supposed to be fun, but one thing I did appreciate, and this is the one thing I get a big kick out because. Sometimes you can learn a very deep lesson even from movies like this. The deepest message I learned was when they were in the school, and it was a chase scene, and the bad guys crashed into the statue of Marcus Brody.
Right.
And his head falls off. Now, you get these two perspectives. You get the perspective of Mutt, the kid, seeing just this old dude's head fall off, right? But then you get the perspective of Indiana Jones. And this is his friend. This is a guy who he has worked with for years and years, has been a confidant, all this stuff, and being disrespectful. Because, you forget that. Sometimes you see these statues of all these quote-unquote, professors and stuff like that, the pictures and all that. You forget that these were, real people with real backgrounds. And, I took that as a deep meaning. Real quick, Crystal Skulls. Great controversy here with these. They were discovered in South America way back in the 50s. One lady and her father brought it back. They actually kept it a secret and sold it. There's a lot of controversy about these really mean. And, a lot of people say it's a real alien artifact. A lot of people say it's a fake and a forgery. A lot of controversy around the real story of Crystal Skulls. But if you ever have a chance, look this up. The real story of Crystal Skulls is fascinating, and make your own decision. I think you'll find that interesting. Well, guys, that's all we have time for. It's always good to remember these awesome movies and where we come from, and what we saw growing up. And Indiana Jones was one of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will always remember all three movies.
Now, did you ever see them in the theaters?
I think I saw. I have vague recollections of seeing one of them in the theaters, but I'm not going to say which one. Because it doesn't really count.
Yeah, it does. I saw that one and the Last Crusade in theaters.
I saw all four of them in theaters, and let me tell you something. To this day, I still get freaked out by the ending scenes of Raiders of the Lost Ark at the when they were opening up the melting faith and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing that they could still get away with it and that would still be considered like PG and stuff like that. I think it was PG still.
Yeah.
Because back then, we were
parental guidance.
Yeah, we were a lot tougher back then. We could handle stuff like that. It wasn't until 1984 that we actually came out with the PG-13 rating. But yeah, cool stuff. We'll see you at the theaters, guys. Take care.
Take it easy.
Be seeing you.